need to understand that our children at different ages undergo certain levels of maturity. Hello everyone, this is Chichi Dagogo Mariso, aka the Storybook Lady, as I like to call myself, aka Blossom Kids Corner. And we are back. Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about signs to show that your kid is maturing. Maturity levels. Everything in life has a level, and we need to understand that our children at different ages undergo certain levels of maturity. Now, before we start, let's discuss maturity first of all, because some people will say, oh, this person is not mature. So we need to really know exactly what is maturity. Maturity is acquired by the child over time as they learn new skills and develop the capacity to deal with the complexities of life. That is basically what maturity is. The ability to acquire new skills and to develop the capacity to deal with the complexities of life. We all know that life has its own issues, it's complex in different ways, and our children have to know how to go through life in these different stages. There are 5 different types of maturity. The first is physical, emotional, social, intellectual, and moral or ethical maturity. I said there are 5 different types of maturity. There's the physical maturity, there's the emotional maturity, the social maturity, the intellectual maturity, and the ethical or the moral maturity. So we're going to break it down into different segments and know how our children mature at these different levels. So physically, how do you know that your child is mature physically? The child has the ability to write and understand their own writing. They have the ability to dress themselves up. They have the ability to... Are they large for their age? Sometimes they look bigger than their ages. And then they can control their bowel movement. That's really one of the reasons, or the signs to show that our children are mature. Can they control their bowel movements? Pee, to poo, know when to tell you, I want to pee or want to poo, without having to do it on their own. That is one of the signs to show that your child is physically mature. Emotional maturity. For you to know that your child is emotionally mature, you need to know or determine how patiently they can wait for what they ask for. That's one level of emotional maturity that every parent needs to understand. As your child gets older or your children get older, they have the ability to wait and be patient for those things that they ask for. But our toddlers don't have that. They are talking over your head. They are clamoring, crying until they get those things that they ask for. Secondly, how well do your children deal with frustration and disappointment? When they set goals for themselves, both attainable and unattainable goals, and those goals, or they are not able to achieve those goals they've set for themselves, or even the ones you've set for them, how well do they handle it? What do I mean? Maybe your child participated in a competition in school, maybe a race, maybe something that they really loved, and they didn't do as well. How well did they cope? That will show how emotionally mature your child is. And then, can they control their anger and express it constructively? Do they just flare up, throw tantrums when they're angry, or are they able to contain their anger or their emotions and express it in a way that even you, the parents, can understand, maybe by coming to report to you or by walking away from such a situation? How well do they control their anger? That is another sign to show that your child is emotionally mature. Now, social maturity. Socially, how willing are they to share? When a child is able to share then you know that that child has attained some level of social maturity. Like again, I'll go back to the toddlers. Everything is my own. It's my own. When a child is able to let go of those things and have the ability to share, then that child is said to be socially mature. How well can they play in large groups? How cooperative are they when they are playing a game? Do they cry when they lose a game or when the game is not going in their favor? Do they throw tantrums when maybe nobody wants to play with them? Those are signs to show that your children are indeed socially mature. How do they get along with their peers? Intellectual maturity has to do with how well they follow and read, how well they read and follow instructions. How well do they perform in school, despite the competition in class, their peers, their classmates. Definitely they will have those who perform better than them. Do they come back crying, angry, hating, so those are signs to show that your child is intellectually mature. Do they understand abstract topics such as God, math, science, those things that don't really make sense but yet make sense? If they are able to understand these issues, physics, geography, those abstract topics that they can't really lay their hands on, but they have to learn them. Do they understand cause and effect and time concept? Do they know that for everything that happens, there's always a negative or a positive effect? Do they know that they have to learn how to manage their time? And then, how well do they relate schoolwork with everyday life? Do they just learn, oh, my teacher said this, or do they relate those things that they are taught in school with things that happen around them? If they are able to correlate these two seemingly clashing qualities or areas of life, then they are said to be intellectually mature. Now, ethical or moral maturity has to do with their mind, their self, not themselves, has to do with them personally. Do they admit their mistakes? Do they understand how and why to help others? How well do they understand honesty and cheating? Do they know that it is bad to cheat and that you have to be honest? As a child, most children do things, they do things without even knowing the reason why they did that. But when a child knows the reason why he or she did what he did and the repercussions that follow what his actions, then that child is also said to be ethically or morally mature. Can they show empathy? Do they sympathize with people? Do they understand, for instance, the war in Ukraine? Are they able to understand what people are going through and not necessarily pity them, but understand the fact that the suffering, that people are suffering or people are going through hard times, that the country is in hard times? If they're able to understand this, then your child is said to be ethically or morally mature. Now, these are the 5 areas of maturity, but they're not set in stone. Now, another thing we need to understand as parents, and it's a mistake that we as parents also make, is that we forget that our children mature differently and at their own pace. Because you have a daughter who matured up or understood things at a younger age, you expect every other child, the subsequent children, to do the same. And when they fall short, it now becomes a problem. But every child will definitely get to their milestone at their own time. And it's left for us, the parents, to understand that and know how to follow them. So don't expect too much to avoid disappointment, or too little so that you can challenge the child. When you expect too much and they don't live up to your expectations, then you tend to disappoint them. And then when you expect too little from them, you can't even challenge them because they're actually exceeding your expectations, and in your mind you feel your child is wowing you, but you don't even know that there's more in that child than you actually even understand. So the other these areas are basically for all children, but for our teenagers, twins and teens. Twins are from 11 and 12. In fact, from 10, 11, 12, they are called twins, TWEENS. And then from the 13 to 19 are called teenagers, and then 20 upwards are called young adults. So other signs of maturity, especially in twins and teens, is appreciation and respect for parents. They know how to appreciate and respect their parents, especially not necessarily when they do things for them, but just knowing fully well that their parents are making lots of sacrifices for them. Awareness of finances, which we as parents also have to learn to teach our children early in life. Self-control, this teaches them discipline. Diligence at work, knowing fully well that hard work pays, especially when it's combined with honesty. Responsibility in taking care of things. They know that they are responsible for their things and they know how to take care of their things. They also have initiative. They know when to do things without being told, because nobody really wants to be controlled. Nobody wants that the life of a herd, so nobody wants to be controlled like a herd of flock. Ability to delay gratification. Expressive responsibility in taking care of their things. Because they are older, they don't like being told what to do. So a mature youth or a mature teen would actually know how to take care of his or her own things. I don't think anybody wants to always be shouted at or lorded over at. So in order to avoid that, they rather take care of their things, make sure that their things are in order so that they don't incur the wrath of their parents. They also know how to take initiative. They know when to do certain things without being told, although a lot of times they need guidance from their parents. But because of the level of maturity, there are certain things that their parents can allow them to do on their own. Certain decisions like picking what to wear to go out, choosing what kind of friends to make. Those things their parents do not have to tell them what to do. Ability to delay gratification. They are expressive and they are responsible for their feelings. They know how to express their feelings whenever and however they feel it. They recognize that their decisions have consequences. They do not just jump into conclusions. They do not just take decisions without weighing the pros and the cons of taking such a decision. They know how to deal with conflict well. They are teachable, and most of them have already attained puberty. So puberty, because of the release of hormones, it tends to make them go overboard. But a mature child or a mature youth would know how to control his or her emotions, how to control his or her raging hormones at that point in time. So parents, these are the signs to show that your kids are mature. They are not, like I said earlier, set in stone. If you don't see these signs, that doesn't mean that you have an immature youth or a child. But at least with these guidelines, it should be able to help each and every one of us, because we're all parents. I'm also a parent. It should be able to help us to steer our children right, so that our children will not be misled or be derailed, and then controlling them becomes an issue. Most of the problem we have in the society today is because a lot of parents have neglected their duties. They did not look out for these telltale signs, maybe because a lot of them do not know. but these signs are all there and they are glaring. A lot of us are experiencing these things in our children and are wondering how they're going to go about dealing with them. So I hope that these tips and this piece of information has been able to clear those doubts and taught us a thing or two about knowing when our child is mature, or knowing how being able to identify a mature child. Once again, this is Chichi Dagogowari. So don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, tell somebody to tell somebody to tell somebody that the Storybook Lady is back. We're going to be doing this every Saturday at 5 p.m. There's going to be a video out from Blossom Kids Corner. We have lots of topics to talk about. So don't forget, this is Chichi Dagogowari, so aka the Storybook Lady, as I like to call myself, aka Blossom Kids Corner.